Welcome to the ER Break Room, the University of Florida Department of Emergency Medicine's podcast. In here, we get to know each other, celebrate our achievements, and highlight our initiatives. I'm your host, Michael Petrauskas. Welcome to a special physician-athlete edition of the ER Break Room. But before we get to that, let's take a moment to recognize the end of an academic year and the beginning of a new one. Congratulations to the graduating fellows and residents. What a bittersweet and exciting time for you. We are proud of you, and we know you'll do great. Welcome also to the new faculty, staff, fellows, and interns. We look forward to meeting, working, teaching, and learning with you. On to highs of the month. So on the education side, Dr. Matt Ryan's assuming a new role as master educator and will be working with students in a novel learning experience. Dr. Mike Marchick will take Dr. Ryan's former role and be the interim vice chair of education. Dr. Dave Roberts will take Dr. Marchick's former role and will be the interim assistant program director for the residency. Over on the operations side, Dr. Matt Shannon will take on a new role as the interim vice chair of clinical affairs. And then I guess you'd call this a dual high and low of the month. Manager of healthcare administration, Allison Gozman, and fellowship program coordinator, Zach Mayo-Frey, they have both been promoted within the University of Florida, but they will be leaving our department. So these are very well deserved, if you know those two, and we are so happy for them, although, of course, they will be dearly missed. Finally, Dr. Carolyn Holland, Dr. Rohit Patel, and Dr. Matt Shannon received 10 years of service pins. What a remarkable, sustained effort on their part. For this episode, I'm trying something a little bit different, and I'm bringing on what I like to consider a rising star in the field. And today I have Julian Smith with me, and we're just going to talk a little bit. So Julian, welcome to the ER Break Room podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So you are an undergraduate right now at the University of Florida. And what do you have to do with our emergency medicine department? What you been up to?
So I'm an undergraduate, starting my junior year, and my major is bio, and I'm on the pre-medicine track. So I guess what I have to do with the ER is this summer, I was interning with Dr. Fernandez in the emergency medicine office, and also Dr. Gutman, and it was an amazing experience. Just seeing how hardworking everybody in the emergency medicine department is really inspiring and motivating, especially for someone that looks up to most of you guys in the ER. So it was a great experience. I learned a lot of shadowing, working on a research project with Dr. Gutman. Everyone in that office is first class, and every one of the EM residents as well, first class. So I loved it.
That's so nice of you to say and we are very lucky to have you and for you to bring your positivity. You came out and did a little shadow shift with me at one of the freestanding ERs. I heard that you went to all both the pediatric and the adult academic ERs as well. Mm-hmm. Did you have any favorite experiences or things that really impressed you or wowed you or shocked you?
I think for me, it was every day it was something new when I went in there, and I really enjoyed that. Every one of the residents and physicians were very happy with every case that they saw, and you could just see that and the desire to help others and make them feel better. And I just really I go to pediatrics one day, and you could see someone struggling or their kid's not the best, but the impact that these physicians have on them, and just that little moment is so huge. And you can see it means a lot to the parents. So I really enjoyed the pediatric ER. That was really cool. But then also in the adult ER, just seeing the magnitude of stuff that happens every day was really, it really showed me a lot. And it just showed, one, that I'm blessed and just staying safe and everything. And there are a lot of things that could be going worse for a lot of us, but just seeing what people go in day in, day out is kind of amazing.
Absolutely. And you did kind of tell me that when in the past you had an interest in dentistry.
Mhm.
Has this experience made you open your horizons to like to doctoring or the medical field and MD?
It definitely has.
Yeah.
I think coming into this, I was hesitant because I didn't know what to expect. But I think that's also like the theme of all ER doctors. They never know what to expect. And I think that's what makes it so amazing because every time I was there, it's like the time went by so fast because it's something new. And I really enjoyed that. So it kind of makes me want to think about medicine over dentistry. But
Cool.
I really like it.
Nice. Yeah. And then, just briefly tell us what the project you were working on with Dr. Colleen Gutman.
Yes, Dr. Gutman, she let me assist in their systematic review of their implicit bias in healthcare and how the educational side of medicine can really try to stop that, and the different ways of which that can be stopped and implementing just to bring a positive atmosphere to healthcare because it is a rising concern. And that really opened up my eyes to a lot of things, just seeing implicit bias and maybe medicine admissions, but also in healthcare, just everything. So I really enjoy that, and hoping to keep going with that.
That's cool. That is, yeah, so important work too. Applaud both you and Dr. Gutman for that kind of work that you're doing. What else? Oh, so I have to brag on you a little bit here, Julian, to the crowd here. So tell us about your other life at University of Florida. What do you spend the majority of your time doing?
Okay, so my other life, I like to say it's my hobby, not my other life. But no, I'm an athlete here in Florida.
Yes.
I'm part of the men's swim team, and I don't know. I don't think it's something that I don't take for granted because a lot of people don't get to this point, and I really enjoy the team. I started swimming when I was 6 years old, mainly because of my brother. I hated the water, but my parents just threw me in. And I just remember those first few months, I was crying every single time I got in the water. And honestly, it might have gone for a few years, but I think eventually because I started off so well with the sport, I just stuck with it. Yeah. And it's paid off so far. And
talk about that. How many, so the team as a whole won, go ahead.
I guess as a team, we won 11 straight SEC championships. And as well as this year, the women's team, they won the SEC championship. So that was a cool experience in Texas. Yeah. Both teams winning and like we were celebrating together. That was really fun.
Yeah.
And then I guess going on to NCAAs, last year we got third. We had gotten third for the past few years. And then this year we didn't do as well team-wise, but individually and relay-wise, we made history, which is really fun and always exciting. So it's a good step in the direction for a young team.
Yeah, and you were on a relay that won the national championship, correct?
Yes.
What was that?
The 400 freestyle relay. We won the national championships. We broke the NCAA record.
What?
The school record.
No way.
SEC record. So
that's incredible.
That was really fun to be a part of.
That's so exciting.
Fun fact about that, we only won by 1/100th of a second.
Really?
So it was very close.
Oh, so there's another team out there as good at that level as you guys. Yeah. What team was that?
It was Cal Berkeley. So
okay.
We had, but both of our teams, we had both been under the previous record, so it was already really fast. But sometimes you need luck. It works. So.
One little half a stroke or whatever, like just to push off when you die, whatever it is, huh?
Yeah.
So. Wow. And then tell us what's next for you and the team here coming up in the next couple weeks.
What's next for me? It's more of year round. So swimming, you can't really take breaks that much. You have to kind of keep going with a few breaks here and there. But for me, it's club swimming right now, so it's kind of more focused to like nationals, and trying to make USA national teams to travel international and represent them. So this Saturday, actually, I leave for Indianapolis, and that's where our U.S. nationals is this summer. And qualifying for championships in Japan is
Wow.
also happening. So they're choosing a few meets from that meet, but
Yeah.
it'll be a fun experience to see where I'm at heading into Olympic year and
Yeah.
just
That's really exciting. That's so
yeah.
cool. And then finally, like, I've only been here a year, and I have not been to any swimming meets yet. When and where can people like myself see you and the team compete in the upcoming academic year?
So I don't have our schedule yet for this year,
Mm-hmm.
but typically our first meet is in October.
Mm-hmm.
I know that for sure we're gonna go against Georgia, Florida Georgia weekend.
Oh, wow.
The Friday before the big game.
Oh, wow.
That's gonna be at home in the O
That's
Dome.
cool. Yeah.
So I do know that's for sure, and
Yeah.
that's always a fun meet to come to because it's always some fast swimming.
Yeah.
And I think swimming is a sport you don't really have to know much about it to get interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
You're just watching people race, and it's really a fun environment. So you guys should definitely
Absolutely.
come see.
I will be there for sure. And hopefully it brings along some friends too.
Yeah.
Well, Julian, thanks for coming on. This is really enjoyable. And you have a very bright future, and we look forward to you in the medical world, and also, with your collegiate and also national and international swimming athletic career. So
Thank you so much.
yeah, this
Thanks
has
for
been
having
fun.
me.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Julian. And we'll see you around the ER. I am very excited today to bring on our featured guest, Dr. David Roberts. I don't know what to say. Dave, welcome. Very excited. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks, Michael.
You could probably guess why one of some of the reasons why I'm excited, but I think we'll get to that by just starting at the beginning. Where are you from, and how did you get into pole vaulting?
I'm from Oklahoma. I lived in southeast Texas through high school, and I started pole vaulting in the backyard. I was about 11 years old, and I was high jumping, and I was rotten at high jumping. I could barely jump over, a little short fence. So one day I got a fence pole. It was a pine fence pole, and I said, I'm going to try to pole vault that. Mm-hmm. And it worked. It was great. So it just kind of took off from there.
What, first of all, what 11-year-olds like, I want to be a jumper? Like, how did you even get into that at that age?
Well, we had this thing in grade school where we had a play day, and one of the events was high jump. And I thought it'd be great to be able to jump, like something higher than my head. I don't think I ever got, much beyond my waist. So
it just came out of school naturally, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So then you take a pine pole, you start doing the with the pole. And then, I mean, at some point then you must have had some influence or training in middle school, high school, where this developed into a more serious pursuit, right?
Well, most people that I pole vaulted against back then and became my colleagues and competitors through college started just like that without really much coaching. We just kind of figured it out. We read books and, we looked it up in the encyclopedia. I graduated from the pine fence post to a bamboo fishing pole.
No
and
way.
Then I got an old aluminum shower pole and eventually got a fiberglass pole when I was about 14. I couldn't bend it, but
okay.
Yeah. So
wow.
Learn it you just figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. So you're 14, you get your first fiberglass. You couldn't bend it, but you start using that. And then you'd been about a freshman in high school then?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And then was there anyone in your high school, like a coach or anything that could you any leadership or no, or training, or you just start figuring it out again?
No one that really knew anything about pole vaulting. So yeah, I just had to figure it out. Eventually, I think my junior or senior year, I was able to go down to Rice University, which was about 50 miles from where we lived at the time. And one of the pole vaulters there kind of took me under his wing and really helped me a lot. And I really he helped me a lot. And
wow.
Then things kind of took off a little bit.
Did Rice offer you a scholarship, or you just went there and started?
Well, I went there and started pole vaulting, but
yeah,
I guess they liked what they saw, so then they offered me a scholarship. So.
Well, so you didn't waste any time in being excellent too then, because I mean, you started college, what, 70, 71?
I believe that would have been 69.
69. Okay. So you quickly, you were successful. You won the NCAA title in 71, right? So were you a sophomore?
Correct.
Or junior?
Right.
You're sophomore. So you went from just starting out to NCAA champion in 2 years. How did you do that? That's crazy.
Well, actually, in high school I got pretty good. I won the state meet my senior year.
Okay.
So I progressed some during high school. The Rice vaulter really helped a lot. I learned how to bend the pole.
Gotcha.
That helped.
That's good. It allowed you to throw you up there. So how high were you clearing in high school then?
I think my best was 15 feet 8 inches.
Okay.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
I went out to California the end of my senior year to a track meet where they take all the best high school pole vaulters from the country, and I got fourth.
Okay.
There was a guy there that had been on the Olympic team his junior year, Casey Kerrigan.
Mm-hmm.
He jumped 17 feet 4 inches. It just blew my mind. I think I made 15.6 that day. And I thought I did pretty good, but he beat me by almost 2 feet. And he was great guy.
Yeah.
And then the second place was a fellow named Steve Smith. He went 16 feet 8 inches that day. Unheard of heights for me back then. I think I never thought I'd be able to do that. So.
Wow. But you did and more. So you're at Rice, you're pole vaulting at Rice. Tell me about those years and that.
Rice is an academic school. So mostly I was doing academics. I was on the track team. I did manage to win the NCAA 3 years in a row. I won a couple of national AU meets. Those are the sort of the national track meet for all athletes in the country during that time. I won the French national championship.
Cool.
I'm so proud of that. So I did pretty well, but it was mostly academics when I was at Rice.
Yeah. Wow. So what were you studying?
Anthropology.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
My plan was to go to grad school in anthropology. I was sort of interested in Neanderthals, where they came from. They've just about 12, 13 years ago, they sequenced the Neanderthal genome. That's just unbelievable. That's something back then everybody was dreaming about. I was fascinated. About that. That was my thing. And then I got sidetracked into med school. So.
So interesting. I did not know about the anthropology in your background. So it almost sounds like, I mean, you're like an academic and you're so interested in your studies, and then the pole vaulting was like almost like a side thing, but you were so good at it.
Yeah, I'm pretty much a nerd. I've never had it in my mind. I've never had the self-image of being an athlete. So
that's crazy to me. But clearly you're an athlete. So you graduated. You graduated with that. I'm guessing anthropology. You graduated your degree at Rice, and you had probably to make a decision then at that point, right?
Well, I graduated in 73, and I decided then that I wanted to try med school. So I had to get all the prerequisites. So I stayed an extra year to get organic chemistry. I went to summer school, to catch up on some of the prereqs, and I had one more year after that. And I moved to Florida, University of Florida, as a grad student in zoology. And I was getting my prereqs then for med school. And then I managed to get in my first try. So that was pretty good. I was pretty happy about that.
Incredible.
Yeah.
But you started, but you somehow in that same time frame. So you started UF at what, 1975? Probably.
Yes.
74? 75. But you were you went on to be in the Olympics during that time. So you were currently in medical school while trying out for the Olympics and competing in the Olympics? Yes.
First year of med school, I was training. And that summer, it was the 76 Olympics. So
you're blowing my mind right now. You're absolutely. Who was a full-time medical student while training and competing in the Olympics?
It's
crazy.
It actually worked pretty well because you sit and study all day, And, you're going crazy, climbing the walls as you've been
Yes.
sitting there. You know that routine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You go out there and you do this kind of intense physical thing, and it just clears your brain. And then you can come out and study somewhere. So they actually work synergistically. It was pretty neat. Now, there's no time for anything else, but that's what it was. So
right. Did you feel, because you were in medical school and the things you were learning about the body, and did you think that maybe gave you somewhat of a competitive edge? And were you applying anything you were learning in the classroom to what you were doing on the field?
I don't know about medical school, but physics really helped a lot. Because pole vaulting is a very complex physics event. It's sort of a double pendulum. And so I was able to work out some formulas that told me things to do in my technique. So I didn't waste a lot of time on other stuff, learning other things. So that really did help a lot.
Oh, wow.
And also, you learn how to train as you go along. Most athletes that I've been around overtrained. I did. Once I learned to not overtrain, I started doing really well.
Wow.
And it doesn't, once you get to a certain level of fitness, you don't have to do a lot to stay there. So learning those lessons early really helped me.
I gotcha.
I think I was also probably just physically durable, because you get hurt a lot when you don't know what to do. And so many better athletes than me got hurt and just could never recover. I was able to recover. So
that's so fortunate. So talk about, okay, I want to hear about the Olympics and world records and the world record, because you set a world record before the Olympics, correct?
I set 2 world records.
Okay.
And I was actually on 2 Olympic teams. I was on the 72 Olympic team my sophomore year in college.
Oh,
I was an alternate. I didn't get to compete. But I traveled with the team, kind of saw what it was like. The year I moved to Florida, the first year, that's when I quit overtraining and immediately set the world record. So
that's crazy.
There it is. And then I took those lessons and just continued them through 76. And at the 76 Olympic trials, set the second world record, won the trials, and then was able to go to the Olympics in Montreal. So.
Wow. And you got to tell the story about because it's, the famous story of the pole breaking and your competitor giving you. Tell what happened exactly.
That's a great thing about track and field. And I'm sure all athletics are like this, but particularly pole vaulters. Everybody's out there helping each other. There are very few pole vaulters that are just out there for themselves. There's a couple, but everybody else is out there, cheering you on. You're cheering your competitors on. Even if they beat you, you're happy for them. They're helping you get your final check mark in and watching. And so they got your back. So that I was really psyched for that Olympic trials. And the pole manufacturer, a great friend of mine, his name was George Moore. He had made this pole. It was the biggest pole ever made in his factory. And in Vegas, meaning the stiffest and the strongest, because the stiffer they are, the higher you go. But you also, you put a lot of power into them. So if you overpower them, they'll kind of squash out. You don't get much power back, and you can also break them. Well, like my third jump with that pole, I broke the pole. It was unheard of. He had made 2 of those poles identical, and he had tested one by breaking it in a chain link cage in his factory. So he pulled end to end with a Jeep on a tackle, and the pole broke. They always break in about 4 or 5 pieces. It's a harmonic, and they break on the harmonic nodes. And one of those pieces went sideways, ripped that chain link cage, and stuck in the ceiling 40 feet high. That's
gosh! Wow!
So when that pole broke, my right arm went dead. I could move a little bit, but it came back in about 15 minutes.
Wow!
But there's no other pole to use, because the next pole was my buddy's, Earl Bell's, and his was not as strong. And he said he brought it up, said, "Look, Dave, you can use my pole." So
Wow.
But I didn't want to use it and break it and then him not be able to compete. So I talked him into letting me wait till everybody was done. And then I'd take my jumps with Earl's pole. And if I broke it, well, he didn't need it because he had finished. So that's what we did. And I managed actually to win and set the world record on that pole. So.
Wow. That's an incredible story.
But, the real message in the story is the camaraderie. I mean, this is what it's all about. And that's what's fun about athletics, about doing athletics. Mm-hmm. It's not about world records. And it's nice to do a world record, but everybody wants to do the best they can do. That's okay. But the real thing is being happy for your competitors out there. So
wow, that's a wonderful lesson. That's great. What about, so then you did get to compete in the Montreal Olympics then in 76. Mm-hmm. And how'd that go?
Well, I have a peculiar opinion of the Olympics. Having been in 72 and having been around Olympic level competitions for several years, I wasn't honestly personally that excited about being in the Olympics. Everybody is, the country's behind you, your family, your friends, you want to do well for them. But I just wasn't that into it. I would much have rather been back on my grandpa's farm fishing.
Wow.
But I was determined to do as good as I could do. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. I tried. So there was a 3-way tie for the gold. I got the bronze based on a rule. And I want to blame it on the rain. It started raining my last few jumps. I'd never jumped in the rain in my life. And it's probably dangerous to jump in the rain. But I was able to glue my hand onto my pole. Wow. And honestly, the rain didn't make a lot of difference.
Yeah.
I couldn't see the pit on one of my jumps until I got halfway down the runway, but it was sort of okay. After that, it cleared a little bit, but I think the rain made a difference. But no excuses. I was very happy with what I did, and I honestly, bronze medal Olympics. That's fine.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And you should be very proud of that. Like, my goodness, they probably wouldn't even let them do it these days if it was raining like that, I bet.
It's just not, it's not safe. I mean,
not safe. Exactly.
You could slip on the runway, fall down, your hand could come off that pole. When I told you about the energy when the pole breaks, but sometimes your hand slips off and the pole hits you in the side. And it's like someone, with a baseball bat hitting you in the side.
Oh my gosh. Did you ever break? Did you ever break bones doing pole vaulting?
Yeah. I broke my neck on a trampoline.
What?
C5 compression fracture.
Oh my gosh.
I broke my sacrum. It was a non-displaced fracture. It didn't require any real treatment, and a few bones, things like that, but nothing else really serious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, you, I heard, what was that?
I broke my knee once in a track, the 73 Olympic trials. I got a tibial plateau fracture in the trials.
Oh my gosh.
We had the trials before the final event of the NCAA, and I forgot about this. It had rained, and the runway was slick, and it was an astroturf around it. So I went down there. I didn't have enough energy. I didn't make it into the pit, and my pole kind of fired me back down the astroturf. So I was sliding on my back. I went about 30 yards and hit a grate, and then I got up, and my knee I had this huge effusion.
Oh my gosh!
I could barely walk. So I forgot about this. And so I got an ace and just wrapped it as tight as I could, and I managed to make it to clear the qualifying height. And then 2 days later was the final. I couldn't walk. My knee was huge. So I kept it wrapped, and I had to, the way I was able to jump, I couldn't even take a warm-up jump. I just jogged continuously throughout the whole competition for 8 hours. Around, over and around and around, and it kept my knee loose. So, and I waited until like the winning height, and I jumped. And I was able to make it into the pit. I missed it. I missed it twice. And the third time I thought, I can do this. And I made it and I won.
Wow.
And I found out later I had a non-displaced tibial plateau fracture. I was on crutches for 6 weeks.
Oh my gosh. Dave, you're crazy.
Well, that's typical of pole vaulters. They are a little bit crazy. So
yeah, I think you got to be doing that kind of a dangerous event like that. Wow, that's nuts. Well, I was going to ask you about how you transitioned away from competitive athletics, but it sounds like you weren't all that. You were obviously invested in your success, but for you being a like your self-described nerd, it probably wasn't hard to walk away and to go back into medicine.
Yeah, it wasn't hard, but I think it was harder than I even knew at the time, because it had occupied a larger part of my life than I was willing to admit.
Yeah.
And there was an adjustment period for 2 or 3 years. I tried my my junior and senior year of med school to do a little pole vaulting. I went to some track meets and I did okay. I never did well because I didn't train much, but it was really good to get back into it. But what I missed was all my competitors. You get out there and, it was all the camaraderie. And I think that was what was hard to walk away from.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I listened recently to an interview with another Olympian, and they say that that person was saying that these days they start prepping the athletes months, if not years, in advance of the end of their last Olympics for the transition, because it could be so devastating to their mental health.
I'm sure. I know many people who were world-class athletes who really took a plunge after the Olympics or after they retired. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, but luckily you had medical school, and then so medical school at University of Florida, and that's how you ended up here originally, into this area.
Correct.
Yeah. And then tell me about, this surprised me. I just did a quick little, I was, kind of fact checking you here. You did your residency in surgery?
Well, I did part of a residency in surgery.
Okay.
When I finished med school, I had this idea that, well, maybe I'll train for the 1980 Olympics. So I graduated in 79. Dr. Robert Cade, Bob Cade.
Oh, yeah.
Did a Gatorade. Was a good friend of mine. He was one of my mentors in med school.
Wow.
He let me do a nephrology fellowship, a research fellowship with him for a year, which was just amazing. I learned so much. It was unbelievable. The guy was a genius, and he loved to teach, and we had a really good time that year. And my idea was to train. Of course, that was the year that we boycotted the Olympics. And when we boycotted the Olympics, honestly, I was relieved, because I was out there training, but I wasn't really into it. So I did that. And then I decided to do, I went to I did a surgical internship in second year. And mostly because I just wanted to do some surgery. I didn't get to do much in med school. And it was a place that was high volume. We did a lot of surgery. And after 2 years, this was when EM was getting started. And everybody back then was getting board certified by the practice route. There were very, very few residencies. And, EM was not popular then. It was sort of like, you want to, go backpacking, you go do EM. So you have plenty of time. We were kind of described as the backpacker docs, A lot of I would guess I don't know a percentage, but it was way up there, like 90% or more of the ER docs back then did the practice route. It was the ABM had this practice route. You have to do X number of things, and it took about 5 years, and then you could sit for the boards. I remember when I took the oral boards, I went out to Denver General and did a oral board review course with Peter Rosen. And, it was tough. It was a tough day, I tell you. It was.
Peter Rosen.
But at the end, he was a general surgeon, kind of gruff guy, he came up to me and says, "Roberts, you're going to do okay." Like, wow, maybe I don't even have to take the oral boards. Anyway, in Chicago, this is when you go to Chicago, you go to the college, do the oral boards. Well, I was sitting there on a sofa between rooms, between cases. Well, here came Rosen and sat down next to me. He was taking the oral boards at the same time.
No way.
Yeah. So he did.
Oh my God. Because
everybody did it back then. But then EM became very popular and became a great residency. So it was really fun to go through all that.
Oh, that's so cool. That's a good story. So that's great. So did you practice? So then you practiced EM pretty much right away then throughout the 80s, 90s?
My first EM shift was moonlighting as a surgical resident in 1980.
Okay. Yeah. And were you back in after after graduating from because you went away for residency, correct? Where were you for residency?
I went to Savannah.
Oh, Savannah, Georgia. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Did you come back to Gainesville?
Yeah. And then I came back to Gainesville.
I see. Okay.
That's when I started doing the practice route training. So.
I see. And so you were practicing where? Where were you? What hospital were you at?
Well, I started at the old Alachua General here in town that later became Shands at Alachua General. Back then it was the community hospital. There was no North Florida. There was just Alachua General and Shands. Mm-hmm. North Florida was a little small building and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. Alachua General was the main hospital in town. That's where everybody went. It was a community hospital, great family community place. I mean, it was great working there.
Yeah.
And then kind of stayed in the Shands system after that when Shands took over. So,
and I heard that. I mean, my spouse is from Gainesville, and she said that I didn't realize that Alachua General was. I thought it was in Alachua, the city, but it was right down here in Gainesville, kind of where what's the Innovation District or something is now.
Yeah,
is that right? Yeah,
it was about I don't know 3 or 4 blocks from Shands.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I had no idea. Wow. I can't imagine knocking down a hospital. I mean, that must have been a huge complex that just went away.
It was, and it was very wounding to the community. You will, if you talk to patients about where they've gotten their medical care in the past, and you find people that used to go to Alachua General, everybody misses that place. Patients, doctors, everybody. It was a big wound on the community. I mean, I guess it had to be done, but nobody really liked that. Place, I was a medical director for the last 3 or 4 years or however long, up until they knocked it down. I stepped out just before they did. And all the services kind of went away. It just was a shell of a hospital at the very end.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, if I ever come across a patient that mentions that, I'm definitely going to ask them about their experiences there.
Yeah, everybody loved it. And that's an interesting thing because a lot of people went from there to Shands. Shands preserves a lot of the family atmosphere that AGH used to have. And
that's great.
It makes it a really good place to work. So,
yeah. No, that's great. That's good. That's very good. So that's how you ended up at Shands then.
Yeah.
I see. And were you involved with the residency as soon as you started working here at UF?
Well, when the residency program began, I was the medical director at Alachua General, so I was able to participate in all the meetings overseen by Dave Seberg when the program was developed. So I don't think I contributed a lot, but I was there and saw it start. I interviewed the first 3 years of residents, and we, even for a little short period of time, we actually had the residents rotate over at Alachua General in the first couple of years of the program. So I saw the program develop. It was pretty fun.
That's great. So what year was that? And who you mentioned a name? Who is that?
Dave Seberg was the chairman of emergency medicine back then, and he and his team created the residency program. So
okay. And about when was that? What year?
That would have been like 2005.
2005. Okay.
2006, 2007, somewhere in there.
Okay. So we're about, so about 15 years of the residency being in place now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay, a couple more questions I have for you here. This is more like, Dave Roberts today. I've heard Dr. Ryan told me some interesting things about your current fitness regiment, I would say. What kinds of things do you do or have you done in the past to stay in shape now?
Well, I've always done something. Mostly because if I don't do something like run or whatever, I just feel horribly guilty. So that's something I carried with me from my Olympic days. But also it's good because partially it's for physical fitness, but if you don't do something physical every day, you just kind of go crazy in our work. It's like pushing the clear button on a calculator. It's mostly psychological to go out there and just, all the things that we face during a shift just go away. You feel better, So I've just had that compulsion. So I've always done something. A few years ago, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, I got some arthritis in my hip. It was back when I was trying to learn how to ski. I fell a couple of times and I had to quit running. In fact, I was even on a cane for about a year.
Wow.
And I thought I'd never run again. So that was bad. So I started doing surf skiing, which is it's a long kayak, about 21 feet long, and you go offshore in the ocean and you ski downwind on the downwind waves. And you can go fast. You can go, about 15, you can go like 20, 24, 27 kilometers per hour.
Wow.
It's flying. It's a blast.
Yeah,
it's a sport that, but it was also a way to stay fit because it's almost the same physical fitness level as running.
Yeah.
And you don't have to use you have to use your hips, but I could do it with my hip.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was my thing. And then I got to thinking, well, I could do a lot better if I got a little stronger. So I started lifting again.
Yeah.
Gainesville Health and Fitness. And that was okay. But then COVID came along and I didn't think it was wise to go out among crowds of people. So I got this crazy idea. I bought an Olympic bar and a squat rack. I hadn't done squats for like 40 years. Yeah. And I didn't even know if I could do them with arthritic hip. So it was a risk. I thought I might have wasted my money. Started doing squats. My hip got better. It was amazing. So I built this weight room in the garage, and I was able to keep lifting, and my squats went back to my Olympic times. Like I think my last few workouts, I was doing like sets of 4 with 415, which was very close to what I was doing when I was training for the Olympics.
Oh my God.
It was amazing.
That's incredible.
But that's not the good thing. The good thing is I was able to start running.
Wow.
And I've been running like crazy. I'm putting in 100 miles a month now. So,
wow.
So,
oh my gosh.
And it doesn't make any sense, physiologically. Right. But that's what happened. I had zero hip pain. I've had no hip pain for about 6
my gosh.
So
incredible.
I'm very fortunate.
Yes, you are. You are very fortunate. But I think there is some method to your madness about, you go back to the doing the things, the weight training, and you're starting to guard against injury and even heal yourself. So wow, that's incredible. Do you do any competitive races, running wise?
No, I never have. I've run some very extremely fast 5Ks for my age. I've gone. I get down to the 6 minute per mile range, so that was pretty good. But the problem is I pay a price. The times I knock one of those out, I pulled my hamstring several times. And it also hurts my hip a little bit when I go really fast. So I'd rather just keep running than go out there and try to go for the record. Yeah.
You really do it for a lifetime, not just for the quick win or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's incredible. Wow.
No, I just feel so fortunate. I've been able to start running again. And every time I go out there and run, it's just like, maybe this is the last time I get to run, but man, I'm going to enjoy it. So,
that's awesome. That is and that's a good lesson for, I think, everyone, for all of us. I mean, exercise and even, specifically like lifting weights, weight bearing exercise is so crucial to our health span.
I think it is. There's so much we don't know about how to preserve our bodies,
Absolutely. So then tell me, what are your favorite things to do or places to eat in and around Gainesville?
My favorite place to eat is home. Yeah, we cook at home almost all the time. We really try to. We're both vegetarians, and we that's sort of what we do.
How long have you been a vegetarian?
Off and on for most of the last 40 years.
Wow. Do you think that's a big part of your health?
I don't know the answer. It sure makes sense. I do think that nutrition is a big part of it. I know when I was training, I really watched my nutrition, and I remember thinking that it probably made at least as much difference as the actual training.
Wow.
But that was all subjective, That was a RCT with an N of 1. So
yeah. But that was probably, you were probably so ahead of your time, because I mean, like that now it's crucial to, I mean, college athletes they're on special regiments, and none of that stuff probably back when you were competing in the Olympics and everything. No one was doing that stuff, right?
Very few. Yeah. Very few.
Yeah.
But I think it made a difference.
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. Wow. So, okay. So you cook, what are your favorite couple of dishes you guys cook?
Organic lentils and wild rice. That's pretty darn good. There's a few things.
And how do you season it? What are your seasonings?
That's what my wife does. I don't. I'm more on the eating side of it.
You're
really good at cleaning up the dishes afterwards.
I have the same arrangement in our household. I'm very fortunate that my wife loves to cook, and I'm happy to clean up, and she's still happy to cook it. So it's great. It's a good arrangement for sure. And she's better, and my wife is better too at it. And then you clearly have hobbies involving staying in shape and things like that. And then of course the residency. I mean, you're so involved with teaching the residents and everything else. I really feel fortunate. I'll be 72 in a month, and I don't have the slightest desire to retire. It doesn't even enter my head, and it's because I just love my work. I look forward to going into work every single time I go in, and it's because we get to work with such great residents. I mean, bright, motivated people, and they're self-starters. I guide them a little bit, as you do. But it's so great to see them jump in, learn stuff. Maybe you can help them a little bit with this central line or whatever. Yeah. It's a blast doing that. And y'all will probably haul me out of there on a stretcher one of these days. I hope not. Well, my last question is, as you might have picked up by now, is always what makes University of Florida emergency medicine special. But I think you're starting to touch on it. But feel free to elaborate more if you'd like.
I think it's that family atmosphere. Yeah. I think we go in, and I mean, we have our 3 cores, and we have the trauma room. But after you get sign out, we take care of all the urgent things that need to be taken care of. But pretty soon we're going to be sneaking around, checking on our friends and all the other cores, seeing how everybody's doing. Got any cases? How are you doing? How did that go the other day? We all do that, and we have time to do it. And it doesn't mean we're not busy. We're busy, but it's good to do that. And we have great colleagues, nursing colleagues, support staff colleagues, medical colleagues. So, even some of the neurosurgeons are pretty fun to get along with.
Yeah, they are. I've had great conversations with the neurosurgeons. They're so helpful.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, this has been really enjoyable for me. I think people are going to really enjoy this conversation and hearing some of your stories, because they are rich.
Well, thanks, Michael. I appreciate it.
That's all for this episode. Special thanks to our chair, Dr. Mary Patterson, for supporting this podcast, and to Dr. Giuliano Deportu for composing our theme music. I'm Michael Petrauskas. Be well.